very warm welcome to LawWiser session on legal design for dummies. And today we have with us a very special guest all the way from London. His name is Adel, and he is the founder of Art of Law. Adel, hi, welcome to LawWiser.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for joining us. Before we get into our main content, I would love for you to just quickly introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I'm Adel. I'm the founder of the Art of Law. I'm a lawyer by background. I was a normal commercial lawyer for 15 years. I was working in private practice. I worked in-house. And then I moved into the more creative side of law, so that legal operations, legal project management. And then the last part was legal design. And for the last about 6 or 7 years, I've been doing product development and design work for law firms, for in-house teams, and advising legal tech companies on product development. So it's all about working with legal teams within the legal industry about how to make things simpler and more efficient.
Thank you so much. So let's get down to the very first question. What is legal design?
That's a great question. And I think everyone has pretty much come to the realization that there isn't one clear answer now. In essence, it's the practice of redesigning and reimagining legal products and legal services so that the end user is at the center of that process. It sounds simple, but we really kind of think about the way things are at the moment. It tends to be other lawyers at the center of that process. So it's about just reimagining things, putting whether it's the client, whether it's whoever the recipient of that contract, they're put at the center. It makes it very consumer focused, client centric, and it makes things simpler, easier to understand.
So tell me something. So why legal design? Why is this conversation happening? I mean, I started following it only, I think, in the past maybe couple of years. But I'm sure there was a lot going on before that. So if you can just help us understand, why is legal design important? What really is going on?
Yeah, I think what we need to understand, in order to answer that question, I think we need to understand what legal services are like. And I think no matter what territory, what jurisdiction you're practicing under, I think we could all agree, especially if you're a client, that legal services could be delivered better. It's often very confusing, especially for people who are not familiar with the world of law. It can be very confusing. It can be time-consuming. It could be costly, it can be very expensive, and so on. So it's become important because people have realized that they expect a little bit more, especially people like millennials and further down. They're not used to this. And I think there's a way of redesigning legal services so that people can just simply understand what they're doing and it can be fit for purpose for 2023 and beyond. And right now, things aren't. And I think it's only when you see, and I'll show you some examples later on, I think it's only when people see how things could be done do people then realize, oh, this is interesting. There's another way of doing things. It's a little bit like how many other industries, whether it's finance to insurance to retail, they've all been reimagined and redesigned, yet it's never happened to the legal industry. I think this is the time now where people have realized, oh, we can change things. We can make things. We can put it all on your phone. We can make it digital. We can just change the game as to how it's done. And I think this is the time now where things are really starting to make a difference. I mean, starting to change. So it's very exciting.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. Thanks. So I have a follow-up question to what you just said. Totally agree. Things are changing a lot. Like in all other sectors, change is now coming to legal on how to make things easier to consume, more accessible, quicker, faster, more, tech-enabled and all of that. And there is a lot of conversation happening in India on legal tech. I mean, I follow a lot of companies. There's a lot of stuff happening. And so for now let's say we're talking about contracts, for example. Yes, like I have heard a lot about smart contracts. So what really is the difference between legal design and legal tech? If I was to compare the two, do they complement each other? How do they go hand in hand? If you can explain that would be great.
So one of the things I mentioned earlier about the definition of legal design, it can relate to the product and it can relate to the services. So, for example, a contract could be a legal product. And in the same way, a legal tech could be a legal product. But legal tech could also be how you deliver a service. So the service could be digitized using legal tech. Right. And then the way legal design applies to that is basically the same as just normal design. So, take the word legal out of it. So you look at user experience, you look at user interface. How is this product focused around the end user? And that's all that is. So legal design can basically just look at a legal tech product and just say, right, well, and ask a couple of questions. Who's using this product? Is it the business? Is it a non-legal person? Is it a legal person? Is it a consumer? So how we design that tech product, we can use legal design principles, which aren't too dissimilar, I should say, from design principles. We just put the word legal in front of it because the legal industry is obviously slightly nuanced in terms of how we do things. So it does very much go hand in hand. And another interesting point about that is a lot of people get very excited about the need to adopt tech, and that's correct. I mean, we all know tech is legal tech. It seems you can't go another week without a new platform, a new product being launched and hearing on LinkedIn, which is fantastic. It's very exciting, but it makes a lot of law firms, a lot of legal teams who haven't adopted tech yet quite nervous. And I've talked to a lot of these teams.
I think it's a bit overwhelming, and it's sort of
very overwhelming.
Yeah, because I'm on a lot of groups of BD, so law firm marketing and law firm BD professionals, and there's constantly someone messaging about a query and trying to get more understanding or some references on like what tool have others started using, what has been their experience, what is really required, because you have to. It's kind of graded, right? When a BD or a law firm, the marketing professionals spit something internally to the partner management, I mean, they have to have a very strong case for, what should be taken up, adopted, and why. And everything can't be done together.
Exactly.
So everyone...
And I was just going to say, and that's sometimes part of the problem, because... And these are conversations I have at least once a week at the moment. And the first thing is to actually not jump in and adopt any tech. The first step is to jump back and say, right, well, hang on a minute. What do we do at the moment? Let's map everything out. What do things look like? Do we need tech? Because the answer might not be that they have to adopt tech. It could be they have to maybe build a tiny little product or re-evaluate their design. So how they design the service of what they offer. Part of it could be tech. So one of the solutions could be tech. One of the solutions could be adopting design principles to redesign and reimagine how they do something. Or it could be a bit of both. So I think and that's where I think a lot of people get quite nervous about, because they think, right, let's go and get some tech. And then you know what happens? They'll spend a fortune on it. And it's never adopted because they've never had buy-in from the senior leadership team. They haven't analyzed who needs it, why they need it, how they're going to use it, does it integrate with the rest of the tech stack, and so on. So these things need to be treated quite carefully. And that's part of what the art of law is about, is, seeing it's adopting that creative side, the art, as to how do we deliver something? How do we make it more human? Is it tech? Is it design? Is it both? And so on.
Okay. Great. Awesome. So we've done a bit of talking. I feel if people, our audiences can see some examples, some visuals, those cues would be really helpful for even me, in fact, to really understand, how legal design works and what sort of, how can it make life easier. At the end of the day, that's what everyone wants. So if you could, maybe share some examples, that would be great.
Absolutely. So I'll start with this screen very briefly. So as you said, there is a problem with contracts. What you're seeing here, these are actually the terms and conditions of apps such as Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Tinder, and a number of day-to-day apps that everyone uses. These are the terms and conditions that we all sign up to and that we all agree to on a day-to-day basis. And I'm pretty sure none of us here or none of us watching has ever read these. These will take days to read. So this is a great slide because it just shows these are contracts that we all enter into and we use on a daily basis, and none of us know what is in them, which leads me to the next slide. Oh, leads me to this slide. I don't want to give anything away because I know
Sorry, I was just going to mention, the fact that you're talking about these Instagram terms and conditions reminding me of a show I just watched, and I think that's the one you're referring to here, right? It's that.
Exactly. Let's not give any spoilers because I didn't think Black Mirror is out in India just yet. But for anyone else watching,
it's a rage.
Okay. Right. So anyone else watching?
I'll just zip up all right.
Okay. But this is an example. We need to be careful of what we're signing up to and what we're agreeing. And like we said, we're not going to give me spoilers, but I'll just leave that there. And then this will make sense to anyone who they've already watched it. So I'm going to give a few examples now of some employment contracts, but I want to just set the scene beforehand. So imagine, you're joining this really cool new startup. You're really excited. They've really got your attention. They've worked really hard to attract you. You've been invited on some of their offsite meetings. Everything's really on brand, and it's all just great and quite cool. You're really excited about joining them. Then they send you the employment contract, and it looks like this. Now, what does that say to you? That these I'm just cut and pasted different bits from a typical employment contract. This is not on brand. This doesn't give you any joy. It doesn't represent this amazing new brand that you're about to join. But then again, this is exactly what we'd all expect from an employment contract. We don't expect it to look any different, but we can do things so much better. So going back to those that kind of startup that we're planning to join. It doesn't even have to be a startup. It's just a company that, if they're trying hard to win your attention, wouldn't it be nicer if they send you an employment agreement and it looked a little bit more like this, as an example? So, you can have things like a summary page at the front, because people don't read the whole contract. People want to know, how long is the contract for? How much am I getting paid? Is the role correct? Do I get a bonus? So let's have a little summary page at the front of it. Let's draw out some of the key terms. Let's put all the boring kind of, boilerplate legal stuff at the back. Let's just call it, these are the legal details, but here are the key terms. Simple things like, let's say we're looking forward to working with you. The end user here is the new employee who you're trying to build. You want to build loyalty with that person. Let's make that person feel welcome when they join the contract. There's no reason why contracts can't be a little bit more friendly, especially with something like an employment contract. Here's another version. This is in Dutch, by the way, if anyone's suddenly confused by the language. So this is an employment contract for a boutique hotel chain. This is actually from an agency called Patroon, based in Amsterdam. So, for example, this is for a receptionist joining a hotel. So as you can see, there's graphics, there's visuals. It's set out like it's a hotel. We talk about the salary, we talk about the pension, the bonus, and what they're going to be doing. But it's just made it a bit more on brand. So straight away, people, when they're joining, they know what they're getting themselves into, and it makes a massive difference. Again, privacy policies. This is perhaps the world's dullest agreement. I think we're all in agreement with that. These are what typical privacy policies look like. But why not make them a little bit more interesting? So, for example, when we did one for a previous law firm I worked with, this was actually all animated. So we took the principle of a safe, because the safe was keeping your information actually safe. And then the information goes in there. As you hovered your mouse around the safe, it opened, closed, highlighted different sections, just to show what you're putting in there, what are you taking out, how are you keeping it safe, how we share the information, and so on. So there's just a few examples like that, which can really make a difference.
This actually brings in a lot more context, having actually seen what the difference can be. And I think, to wrap up a discussion, I want to sort of summarize some of what we've discussed. And more than that, I want to know, what is the business case for legal design? I mean, because at the end of the day, that's, anybody would be looking at how can it benefit, how can it positively impact my business?
I mean, one thing we should be clear about is that legal design is not just about making things pretty. I mean, it's part of it, but that's not the end goal. The end goal is essentially about speed. So, to answer your question, why should a business care about this? There's everyone will know, and everyone hopefully will agree here, that there's a continuing demand, a continuing pressure to do more with less. Take an in-house team, for example, at a large corporate. They need to do more and more work with less and less resource. So if they are then spending hours on minor low-risk contracts, there's another way around there. You could adopt design principles to have other non-legal colleagues self-serve, and that work could be outsourced to them. Legal don't necessarily need to get involved with that. So really, and another example I just want to say is, again, hopefully this might ring a few bells. The commercial side of a business, they could do a deal very, very quickly. And I don't wonder if this will ring any bell. The commercial teams do the deal, it gets sent to legal, and everyone sort of, wraps their hands and say, yeah, fantastic, we've done this deal. It comes to legal, and it just dies. And it's just wrapped up in, weeks, maybe months of negotiation. And the commercial team are shouting, why is this still going on? This deal is done. We're now sometimes we're even doing the work, but yet we haven't signed the contract. And that's a perfect example. Deals take so long to close because sometimes the contract that you're sending them is just a mess. Or, you might send it to the other side and they will look at it and go, well, this is, we need to plow through this. This is going to take us ages. And I've had examples of that taking weeks or months. We've redesigned contracts. We send it over to the other side. As soon as they look at it, it's clear they know exactly what they're saying. They know exactly what they're signing up to, and it's signed on the day and returned. So what's the business case? It's about doing more with less. It's about getting deals done quicker. It's about also just keeping things on brand. It's about treating a contract as another touch point between you and your clients, between you and your employees. We work so hard with branding and marketing, yet we send out contracts that look like nonsense, and it doesn't build faith. It doesn't build trust in what we're doing. But again, if you send out contracts like I showed, it makes such a big difference, and it can get deals done quicker. It can free up lawyers to do more lawyering as opposed to just dealing with the minutiae of contracts.
Right.
And clients have better experiences. So you could basically save a huge amount of time and a huge amount of money. And, right now that's where the pressure lies.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That was super helpful. For everyone who's watching this video, I would encourage for them to reach out to you via LinkedIn in case they have any queries. In case we receive any queries, maybe we'll be happy to do a follow-up session. I know you're super responsible, LinkedIn. That's how we got in touch. So that's the magic of social media. So super Thank you so much for your time, and definitely we'll be talking soon again.
That's fine. Thank you very much for having this conversation. Yeah, love to chat to anyone who's interested. And have a great day. Thank you.